what is created out there of this thing, skateboard and bike, deservingly so. It should be female dominated. There's no question. They should be, you know, in this activity. But because of the lack of...
First person I saw on a skateboard was my brother. My parents got him this Goosebumps board, and I used to take it from him in order to try and ride around on it, but my brother always told me that I wasn't doing it right, and I couldn't stand up on the skateboard and ride it, so he wouldn't let me use his because I didn't do it right. It wasn't for another few years that I saw a skateboard again. My friend was riding down the street to school, and I just remember thinking like, oh, I still want to do that. I want to learn that thing that my brother said that I couldn't do. So when I was 12, my family and I went to the X Games. They had them in Philadelphia. I think we were gonna watch like the vert best trick or something, and my friend and I were kind of walking around the arena, and we saw this other vert ramp, and we saw that there were a bunch of girls skating it. Lindsay Adams and Cara Beth, and they were doing like kickflip indies and inverts and stuff. And we just kind of like looked at each other and we're just like, what? That's really cool. Like, I want to do that. I kind of became obsessed with skateboarding. I got it like into my little 12-year-old brain that that's what I want to do. I want to ride my skateboard, and I want to be like those people.
I just feel free when I'm skateboarding, you know?
That's a good thing about skating. You create your world, and everybody doesn't have to agree, and everybody doesn't have to like everybody else's take on it.
A sport is an athletic activity requiring skill or physical prowess and often of a competitive nature. Well, it sounds like skateboarding.
Skateboarding is a culture, and it involves connection between two people. It involves sharing ideas and collaborating in different kinds of ways, whether that's setting a new standard or defining something, like defining a new trick.
There's so much to it. It's an art form, really.
It's like the best therapy I could possibly do.
Putting together a run on a vert ramp is like being a ballerina or painting something, you know? The vert ramps are canvas, and I'm in the air, I just feel better.
I like when I just don't think about anything else, because you're just skating, and it just takes you away from everything.
Skateboarding to me is everything. I love it. I'll never stop skateboarding.
Not like how it was 15 years ago where you didn't want your kid to skate because that would be a weird rebel thing. Now it's totally encouraged, and it's great for all kids, really. It gives them confidence, and it's fun.
It's just something I love to do, and I kind of like always want to do.
And to do something like that for a living, which is what I got a shot to. I got a taste of what it would be like to do that for a living, and that would be my all-time dream, you know. That would be the best thing ever.
So let's make it happen for the girls.
At the X Games vert contest, and it was really exciting. I mean, I never even thought that I would get that far. I got to skate with all the pros that I looked up to for as long as I'd been riding my skateboard. And it just got me really motivated to actually try and compete the following year. I came up with a plan that would help me try to be a competitor for the next year. I thought, like, okay, if I arrange all my classes so they're in the morning, I could drive down to San Diego and get to skate vert at least a couple times a week. And then I thought, okay, if I start like working out a lot, then my body would be like strong enough to keep from getting injured and things like that. And then I thought, like, okay, I need like really strong bones and stuff, so I should just eat like bunches of kale all the time. And there was so much kale. I ate kale in breakfast smoothies. I ate kale in salads for lunch. I ate kale as chips. I ate kale out of the bag. I grew kale. And then I put together a video for the event coordinator, and she really liked it. And she said, so we really liked your video, and we wanted you to be one of the competitors for this year's X Games, but the women's event is canceled. I was really upset Having gotten to be an alternate in the X Games, it was so close to like coming full circle to that first time that I was exposed to skating. I didn't really know what to do, so I started writing blog posts in response to it and starting like Facebook groups that encouraged discussion around it. And I just started asking questions from people in the industry about what we could do in order to generate more opportunities for women in skateboarding or for young girls who want to get into skateboarding, and how we can bring better exposure to the women who are trying to make it their career. I talk to other women that skateboard, company owners, marketing executives, editors of skateboarding magazines, and a few skateboarding legends.
How can a girl here make it in skateboarding?
Every kid who skates probably dreams about being sponsored at some point, because they see those skate magazines and everyone thinks like, this would be great. It'd be great if I could do that. And every kid who plays basketball probably dreams of being an NBA player. So
Everybody that skateboards wants to be a pro skater and has the dream of being a pro skater, whether they say it or not, but only a few get to do that.
Historically, the core root of a pro skateboarder came from a skateboard company. They were paid by a skateboard company to ride a skateboard, trucks, wheels, decks.
The way that getting on a skateboard company usually works, you have different tiers, right? Just like how most sports have amateurs or like college leagues, high school leagues, then professional worlds. So it's usually set up where a company might like your skating and they want to see what you're about, so they'll just start giving you product to represent. That's considered flow. And usually what happens is there's a pretty large pool of flow kids on every company, and then you kind of want the best of those kids to be really represented by your brand, to be an amateur. It's kind of gotten, I guess, a little bit gray in what really makes you pro.
What a pro skater used to be was someone who competed to earn the title pro skateboarder. Now it's a very vague statement where anybody, including the pro fairy, walks in the room and taps someone on the head and they're a pro skateboarder. So
I really don't understand the whole different levels of sponsorship. I think it's some loose, arbitrary term as a carrot to dangle in front of the kids.
Old man Don Brown has been in this industry so long that I have a really clear idea of what the difference is between an am and a pro. And it's really easy. So I'm going to explain in my hands. Am, pro. Ugh.
What's the difference between pros and AMs? Well, in the old days, pro meant you got paid money to skateboard, and amateur meant you didn't get paid money. But then those lines kind of blurred. AMs get money too. Amateurs get a check here and there.
once you're amateur, you have to do certain things. Ideally, you're out getting coverage and you kind of like make yourself known. And that means just getting a lot of footage, getting a lot of coverage kind of thing, and ideally getting an interview or something.
And then the more coverage you get, the more, anticipated your board was. And that's why you got coverage, so you would get a board.
And so the only thing that changes when you go from being an AM to being a pro is a money change.
And there's different tiers of pros. There's a bunch of guys that make a bunch of prize money at contests. There's other guys that don't do any of that stuff, but have a shoe that sells really well.
As an AM, you're getting ads and going on tours, and almost everything's the same. The only thing that changes is you're gonna have a board with your name on it now, and you're gonna get paid a little more money.
The gold standard is you got a board that says your name on it from a respected company. Alyssa was the first girl to really do it the way the guys did it.
There's a blueprint for skateboarding, right? It's like you get sponsored, You film a video part, you shoot photos, get an interview in Thrasher and Transworld.
Alyssa really stood out, just had a very distinct style that was her own.
She would always be killing it everywhere she went, keeping up with the guys.
I remember when she went pro, we got a lot of blowback.
She's like really kind of a groundbreaker, and it was controversial. It was controversial to put her on the team.
Skateboarding is high school. If you're not with the jocks or if you're not with the cool kids, then you're ostracized and put to the side. So if you want to be a brand in skateboarding, you have to play the game.
It's like some of these companies, they're like gangs, you know? Like you don't have a girl in the gang.
So if you put a girl on your cool brand, you would automatically be moved out of the cool guy group because it wasn't cool.
You know how it is, it's like real macho stuff. Like, our team's the baddest.
Since they've chosen that, you know, they only sponsor this group and this group's cool, and girls aren't quite on that group yet.
And if you're not cool, you can't sell product.
Kids couldn't deal with the fact that, you know, like she was pro for a company that they thought was great. Kind of surprising, the amount of like letters we got from kids. Real outrage about it. Like I don't know, I was kind of blown away by some of the letters we got and emails and things just saying like, she's not good enough. Therefore, we must have her on for other reasons, like so we can look at her boobs or have sex with her in the van or something like that, you know? Like, it's just mind-blowing.
So, I mean, if anybody, like, kind of went through the process, like, she kind of made it, she paved the way for a lot of these people. I mean, there was the Cara Beth Burnsides and stuff, too, who's, like, you know, she's the legend, the Dwayne Peters of women skaters.
But it was just really hard because there wasn't a lot of girls skating back then. And there were so many negative people, too. That would be like, oh, yeah, we're not going to do anything for girls. Like, that'll never happen. And
she just dominated and just kind of took over the scene and set a new bar for women to strive for. And, you know, she was just pushing herself and pushing women's skateboarding.
Here's Cara Beth Burnside, who grew up with the Bones Brigade. And she couldn't even get a manufacturer to give her skateboard decks on a regular basis. That's absurd. I don't know any girls that's making lots of money being sponsored in skateboarding. I think that the girls are just happy that they can get to an event and if someone bought their lunch or they gave them gas money or even an entry fee. There's just no financial support. There may be moral support. There may be some product support.
Yeah, I get pretty much all my gear for free, so I appreciate that. And yeah.
I've gotten float shoes here and there, and sometimes they'll help with travel stuff, but it's never been like an official thing, you know?
Personally, I'm just grateful to be getting float product from these companies so that I can skateboard as much as I can.
You know, for guys, if you're really, really good, the industry is structured and developed enough that all you have to do is skate or ride. The girls who do make it and who get to where they are, you have to market yourself, you have to be a businesswoman, you have to be able to communicate with your sponsors.
Tricky thing with girls is I think maybe there's technically maybe one girl who has a skateboard out there, maybe two. Vanessa Torres did for a long time, and Alyssa Steamer did. And that was kind of like, from what I can remember, the only two girls really having signature skateboards. And then you have these people like Jen O'Brien who are considered pro, but that's kind of on a contest level. Marissa might be, she's AM for zero, but maybe she's pro in a contest level.
Marissa's not pro. Oh, I mean, she wins pro contests, but like, not pro like we talked about.
I figured Marissa Del Santos would have been turned pro as soon as she got the X Games win. Obviously, if a guy did that, that wouldn't happen for sure. You know, that makes no sense to me that she wasn't.
It seems like Pro and Am are these labels that companies give you based on how credible they think you are. Sometimes contests can offer some sort of clarity as to where you're supposed to stand in skateboarding. But a lot of the times for the girls, they just put everyone in the same division. So then when you do have a pro division or an AM division. Everyone's like, hey, am I pro? Are you pro? Are you AM? Am I AM? Who's flow? One of the contests I did like that was the Tim Brosh Memorial Contest. The sessions before contests get really crowded. So I collided with someone right before the contest, and I immediately knew that I broke my wrist. But that's not really the point. I was really excited to go up to the Tim Brosh Memorial Contest because I wanted to skate, you know, California's biggest and most fun skate park. It takes place in this bowl that's just really fun, really fast. It's called the Skull Bowl, and that's Steve Cabb's home park, so it was great to see him there and to get to skate with him. It was a fun turnout. There were a lot of girls there, a lot more than I remember having competed. What I love most about contests is that it brings all the girls together and it gives them an added bonus, an added reason to progress and try new things and to push one another to learn new tricks. The contest was about to start and I'm like, well, my wrist is broken, but I guess I'm gonna skate anyway and just not fall on it. I landed most of the things that I wanted to land. I made sure that I had the money in my budget to be able to afford gas to get up there. And then on the way up, I got pulled over and I got a speeding ticket that was way more expensive than I had allotted for the trip. But then the good thing is, like, I ended up getting 3rd place and I was almost able to cover that speeding ticket with the prize money I got, so I only lost a little bit of money, but it was a really fun contest, and I guess the hospital fees cost a lot after, but I like skateboarding anyway.
The role of competition that's always been a weird one in skating, you know, because, you know, skating, I think, battles between a sport and an art form, and so contests have always been a really weird sticking point with skaters and companies alike, and there's always people that have had problems with it.
Should there even be those distinctions anymore?
Unfortunately, there's less opportunity for women, and so they have to utilize whatever medium or events are there, and, you know, which are contests.
It's hard to say what the path is for young women in skateboarding, because if there's no contests, sponsors don't even give them the time of day, and you don't get noticed. And
as far as like discovering Alyssa, it was James Thomas. I know he came back from a Tampa contest. I know she made her mark at those contests when they started doing the girl division. He came back from that contest and said, this is Alyssa, we should put her on. And we gave her boards and then brought her on tours, and she skated and just handled everything. And
pretty much a girl pro skateboarder has to compete. Even the girls street girls aren't just video edited. They're girls that all go to the X Games. They go wherever and compete. So I think the girls out there they're working as hard as they can for it. I think they're still emerging and trying to figure out really where they're going to find that right funding to help them do what they need to do and get around and show girls all around the world what they can do. And that's definitely, there's a big disconnect there from the boys' side of things.
For women in skateboarding, if you don't go through the contest circuit, you're not going to get anywhere. Guys don't have to do that. You know, if they're good enough, they can shoot photos, they can shoot video, and they can get by on that. They can get sponsors, they can, you know, they can make a living not competing.
Doing contests is risky because if you get an injury, then you could be out for how many months, and you could be unemployed, and your sponsors won't be there to back you up financially.
Absolutely. There is no question that the lack of female events is somewhat a detriment of getting in.
I know that this last year was brutal to women skateboarding.
2011 was a hard year. There's a lot of girls who were working hard and had goals and had a passion, and it kind of just got crushed.
When I heard that there's not going to be a vert at the X Games, I thought, how am I going to pay my rent?
So that was my goal of the year. I was training with my trainer, and I'd be with them at least a couple times a week, just working on injury prevention and my overall strength and endurance. And really, working on specifically what maneuvers and what tricks I wanted to learn, and then seeing how I could get my body in shape to do that. So I was working out a lot, just trying to put as much time on the ramp as I could, which was hard at times because I live about like an hour and a half, 2 hours from the park.
Last year, the coverage for girls vert was non-existent. There weren't even photos on the web. You know, I think they had a live stream of the contest.
I remember getting the news. It was right after right after our practice graduation. So all my friends are trying to figure out who their roommate is for college, and I'm waiting to hear my X Games invite. And then I got that info that X Games was canceled.
There wasn't anyone covering the contest. There were no real articles afterwards, and so I kind of felt a shift at that point that something was going to happen. And then, you know, this year they obviously took girls vert out.
It like didn't hit me at first. I was just kind of like, what do you mean? Like, that's not right.
X Games is what you look forward to doing, and it's what you set, you know, this is your goal in skateboarding to get to there, especially for women, and especially women in vert. And so, what now?
1 minute, you've got all these plans, and then the next minute, like, something like that can just, like, it was definitely not on my mind that it could possibly be taken away from us at any point, so it was definitely a shock.
For women skateboarding, that was our main event. You know, men have a lot of other events that are similar status and similar prize money and all that kind of stuff, and so it's not quite as important to them. But for us, that was our only thing.
When I found out that women's vert was canceled, I just kind of wanted to figure out why.
50% of people on the planet are women. It feels, I would hope that it feels just as fun to you as it does to me. So why can't we grow that where you guys can have your own contest series?
I don't think it's a thing about money, but it's just they decided to take it out because women's vert, I think, is starting to progress, but I guess the media and the people that throw the contest don't think the same.
I don't think that the X Games had a valid reason to take girls vert out of the contest last year. And they are saying different things, you know, but from the event the year before was the best event ever of girls, and to drop it is, and not replace it with something like Super Park. I heard a few different other excuses, but.
You know, I wouldn't really get too disappointed that women aren't in the X Games, because it's not all about the X Games, you know. Obviously it's a good push to help promote the sport. ESPN X Games, that's not what skateboard is all about.
For some women, that contest made or broke their entire year as far as what they were going to have to do to make a living.
I just encourage women to stick with it whether they're on the X Games or not.
They really were thinking about it dollars and cents wise. If you can grow your media by having more viewers.
At least they kept the women's street contest, so there are still some women in the X Games.
I think an important part is just to make sure that everyone's really working hard to get women's skateboarding in front of more people. So things like the X Games, for example, I thought that contest was phenomenal. The level of skateboarding with that was really, really amazing. I was surrounded by the top male skateboarders in the world, and you know, when you got Alexis Sablon doing a kickflip 50-50 down the harbor, there was a lot of holy shit. Did you see that? From some of the top guys in the world, and they were just blown away by that level.
And there are a lot more women doing this now than there ever were.
That girl, Letitia Buffoni, like those tricks she was doing were nuts. It was so awesome to see.
If you're smart, you will have women in the X Games.
When you see girls at the X Games, and that's reaching millions and millions of people around the world, it can only be good, right, to help promote and get in front of other people. The other girls are going to flip on the TV and go, wow, that girl was amazing. I want to be like her.
That was the biggest TV contest we had.
And if it's not on TV, then it's not even happening. And so it'd be ideal if X Games would step it up again and present women's skateboarding.
That kind of stuff needs to be seen, and I know people want to watch it, you know, and because they don't see it.
There's no visibility or there's just no exposure for what girls are doing.
Whether it's in advertising, or if it's in magazines, or it's on television, like women need to see other women skateboarding to let them know that there's something going on. But for right now, media's not paying attention to any of that, and they're not showing any of that.
What I've gathered from the skateboarding media is the same impression that I had when I was little. And that is that skateboarding is just for white males who have tattoos.
I never even knew other girls skated. I never met one other girl skater ever growing up. I never saw pictures of girls skating. I never saw a video of it. I look up on the TV and I saw Jen O'Brien and Cara Beth and Jody skating the Soul Bowl. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Their names are on the TV, you know, I'm like, those are girl names. I just kind of was bummed. I'm like, I didn't even know that was out there. I totally would have gone and done that.
I met Christiana Smith. She was the first black girl I ever seen skate. The other day, this guy was like, you're the first black girl skateboarder that I've seen that's really good.
So now, after having met other women, other black women who skateboard, it's kind of cool. It's like, you know, you're a whole new world opens up for you and you can see the world in a different way.
It just takes a little bit of a shift in perspective to look at something a little bit to the side and you say like, oh, there's a whole nother world out there. And in this case, it's just like that girls do skate, or girls seeing it and saying like, I can skate too.
I used to roller skate at a roller rink, and then a skate park opened right next door. And they were doing a grand opening the day I was going skating. It was so awesome to see. But what the main thing was is that there was a couple girls skating the pool and doing like frontside grinds. And then, so seeing girls skating made me feel like, oh, I could do that.
When they're able to see that another woman can do something, it builds this self-esteem and this pride and this energy inside of them, and they get so excited, and I think that works for anybody. Everyone needs to see an example of someone who looks like them doing something.
When I first started skating, you know, I saw pictures in the magazines of skaters doing tricks in pools and stuff, so, you know, that's something that I inspired to try to do as well. So I went out and found places I could skate and tried to learn how to skate, and once I got there, tried everything I could do to try to learn tricks I saw in the magazines.
The first girl I saw in person, like really skating, was Amelia at Rye Airfield. She was like shredding the clover bowl, doing like front rocks in the extension, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the raddest thing ever. And I went and I got my dad and I was like, there's another girl here and she's shredding.
I have a daughter myself, she's 14. Her name's Kayla. I got her into skateboarding when she was 5 years old, you know, so she's been around it for a lot of years, but it hasn't been very attractive to her. I think when she sees, you know, all the girls getting together and she sees it in the magazines and videos and comes to the contest, she gets inspired herself, and it makes me really proud and excited to have her excited about skateboarding.
I met Cara Beth Burnside and I met Jen O'Brien when I was pretty young, and they took me under their wing and just threw me off a cliff and let me fly.
I never knew that was going to happen, and I never felt like I was going to be a person that was going to help shape that for the girls, but I'm kind of trying to take on that role a little bit to really show that the girls have their place in skateboarding. I want to see the girls have fair opportunities and be able to travel and skate and be able to make some money to support themselves so they can skate like other girls do in other action sports and like the guys do.
We just really embrace skateboarding as a whole, and along the way, it's just we've seen some amazing talent coming out of girls on skateboards, and it's something that we've always backed and always supported from the early days.
And that's from paying, you know, the top girl riders to go out there and do their thing, representing Etnies. We had the whole Girls Get On Board, which was an event we had for over 6 years to travel the world, you know, from America to Canada to Europe.
I don't really think that they support the girls, you know.
For years, I would see Carabeth skating, like at Encinitas YMCA, and the industry didn't really ever support girls skateboarding.
I think everybody's missing out on a big market right now. I mean, girls want to skate, and it's out there that they just need to, you know, start supporting it, especially the companies that are making all these girls' products.
Unfortunately, we tried it. We tried our hardest to really make girls' products for girl skateboarders, and it didn't work. For some reason, they don't gravitate towards a specific female skate shoe. We even looked at doing specific last for a woman's foot, because the woman's foot is a lot different than the men's foot, but it still didn't work. It's challenging.
Most of the companies that dabble in skateboarding, whether you're talking like Volcoms, Billabongs, you know, whatever, that are kind of in this industry that sell girls' clothing, I think when they really try to figure out how much of their direct sales are going to girls that ride skateboards, they have a hard time quantifying it. And they haven't really done it long enough. Maybe it hasn't just developed to the point where they just commit a certain percentage of their budget to it.
I can't really work it out because, you know, what, 50% female population in the world, 7 billion. Is that 3 billion, 500 million girls out there? So the market's there, it's just...
If you look at Vans, like probably 50% of their sales is women's stuff.
At a lot of the skate parks, you see a lot of the girls rocking the Vans. And I mean, they're rocking the old school high top, they're rocking the low, you know, 3-star, like the gangbangers type Vans, you know?
Most other core skate companies, it's just like 15 dudes in an office.
All those guys were skateboarders, surfers, snowboarders. I mean, they lived, eat, and breathed skateboarding. And they were guys, so they obviously, you know, expanding into girls and doing that is a little bit still, even though it's a big part of their business, it's still a side project, I think, the way they look at it. So it just has to emerge to where they look at it as like a major main, you know, product line.
I would say the girl that actually skates, for me, really, it's just a small percentage. I would say probably less than 5%, unfortunately.
And the same could be said about men's skateboarding. I mean, some of these clothes are just going to Nordstrom's and aren't going to skateboarders. I would doubt that more than 20% of their shoes are sold to skateboarders. Yet they put their entire budget almost on skateboarders.
You know, that's how society is when something starts. You have this naive perspective of it, and you think, okay, well, guys are doing it, that's just how it's going to be. That's just what it is. It's not for girls. Or I don't see the market for it, which seems incredibly dumb to me, almost as dumb as saying, like, let's not put wheels on luggage. Like, of course you should, because it opens up this whole new kind of space for, if you're a marketer for the market, if you're a girl, for doing something other than, you know, whatever, playing with dolls or whatever people think girls should do.
I think a lot of things have happened in women's skateboarding that have made it change. Women, there is more women, there's a bigger circuit of competitive girls. Overall, there's a lot of style involved, a lot of fashion involved, a lot of good-looking girls, and there's all these factors that are starting to make it more merchandisable and marketable.
Females hold the consumer power, and so if a company can spend some money and market to the female customer, they will see the return. It will benefit.
You know, I see skateboarding brands approaching advertising skateboarding in an expected and sort of naive way. Insofar as they represent their brand or their product or whatever it is they might be offering with a very narrow perspective of what their market demographic is.
The bulk of the market, I think, is more of an inspired by consumer. So someone that wants to skate, but she doesn't quite get that far, but she likes watching it and being involved in the culture.
But I think they don't know who could be buying their product, and that's where I see like a little bit of a, that's why I say naive because they're not looking in a sort of expansionary, they're not being Napoleon about what the market could be.
If I were to look at an ad, especially one in a skateboarding skateboarding magazine that's suggestive and has like a woman just posing or just some model who looks dumb, it's like almost like a slap in the face for like a young girl who's trying to get into skateboarding and who just wants to do it just for like the pure fun of it, because it's like it makes them question, where is my place in this, like where is my place in skateboarding.
As soon as you get outside of the girls' core foundation. Then it's like more about the lifestyle component of it, about how kind of things match and chilling with your friends and all that fun stuff. Using models versus skateboarders and all that stuff, because a lot of companies do that, so you know, we've done a mixture of both before. There's a lot of, with females, it's a lot about just looking good.
A cute girl who, you know, has good style and is wearing the product, that's the model for the entire fashion industry.
It just has to be her doing something really active and out there. If she's just standing there as a prop, for me, as who I am, it doesn't really speak to me.
But for skateboarding specifically and our industry, because it is fashion/sport, you know, if you see an athlete who is doing all these crazy things that you aspire to do and she's wearing the shoes or the clothes or the whatever, that resonates more.
And I think for those of us who are into skateboarding or just into the culture, that would be what we would prefer to see rather than a model.
They don't really care about who the girl is, you know, as long as they look good.
I think it's so much better if they're authentic and recognizable because it gives the ad, it gives the brand legitimacy rather than having just some model thrown out there.
You're gonna put that poster up on your wall and be stoked on that girl as opposed to just, you know, a poster of a model wearing, you know, the products.
They want to wear it because they look good.
Obviously, girls who ride skateboards would prefer to see girls skateboarding in ads for skate brands, but I wanted to find out what the girls inspired by skateboarding would prefer. So I talked to some girls who don't skate, but are interested in action sports, fashion, and culture. I'm gonna show you two pictures, and you're just gonna tell me which one makes you want to buy the shirt more. This is the first one.
They're the same. They're the same. Are they the same?
Well, it's the same girl, but
no, but the shirt looks the same.
No, yeah, I'm sorry, the shirt is the same, but it's seeing which image as an advertisement would make you want to purchase.
Definitely this one. This one.
Oh,
yeah.
great, thank you so much.
Shirt and it looks
oh, no, sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'd say the second. Which one? The second one for sure.
That one. That one, second one? Okay. 2/3 of the girls that we talked to said that they would prefer to see a skateboarder in an ad rather than just a model.
Say it's a skateboarding thing.
If you're a brand with a stake in skateboarding, every time you use a model instead of a skater to promote your brand, you're losing an opportunity to grow skateboarding. Because an image of a model is not going to inspire a little girl to pick up a board for the first time.
And I think that they can get the wrong image if they think their place is posing naked, like for a wheel company.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's gross. Like, some of those ads are gross. I don't like them. I feel like it's kind of like a reflection of the bigger society, which is kind of a cop-out, but at the same time, it's not sexist if everyone's naked. And we definitely have a lot of nude dudes in the back. I hope people don't take it too seriously, and I hope it doesn't bum anybody out too much, but you know, I don't blame you if it does.
It's just so wrong. So I don't understand why they can't have a girl like actually shredding, wearing cool clothes, and like rocking it for a company.
There's a lot of companies that they do want to support skateboarding and they do understand the value in, you know, supporting girls. The mistake is that they'll have one girl. They'll be like, okay, well, we're good. We have one girl. She's filling the quota. Like, that's great. We'll send her a product. She's our rider. Like, check that box off. Well, that's the wrong mentality because that's like trying to be a really legit brand and having one guy rider. Having the whole concept of the team and a whole girls program, that was the key for us at Osiris. Everything was specific towards the girls. There were other companies. Etnies was a great inspiration. They had a really solid girls program. They had a solid girls team. There weren't a ton of other companies doing that.
So we had the typical girly kind of shoes that everyone has in the line. But we had, like, for Alyssa Steamer's shoe, when we did that, it was one of the first pro shoes for a girl. That one was more, it was just a good-looking shoe.
As we kind of built the brand, we were like, okay, what marketing initiatives can we do to help support like these new shoes that we're designing that's designed by a girl that are actually like shoes that girls would wear. The difference between, you know, marketing a girl and a guy is that for the majority, for guys, they want to see action. They want to see tricks. Most skate videos are just trick after trick after trick. Like, they don't really want to hear anyone talk. To market a female athlete, you really have to not think of her as just a skateboarder, but her life as a whole. Because before we got there, before they started the actual girls brand, they were doing girls shoes, but it was like one of the guy designers putting pink on everything, and it was horrible.
Kind of a little bit more on the hiking side of things, because that was the trend at the time, and that's what Alyssa was into. And so it didn't specifically call out, hi, this is a girl shoe. But it was a really kick-ass shoe though. Alyssa loved it, so that's all we cared about.
We had good product because we had a very skilled and just an amazing, talented female designer.
I think if you really want to do it well, you got to get a woman to do it. Do you know what I mean? Because you know what's up with what the women's needs are.
We had a girl behind the girls' product, and she knew what girls wanted, and it wasn't just pink and flowers. It was really, you know, on point.
I don't think we've made any money off of the girls' market.
Our girls' product sales doubled, you know, in a short amount of time. The percentage of growth was amazing. Everything was going good. Like, we doubled sales. I'd, you know, slowly, like, but surely kind of prove to them, like, okay, how about, can we do this trip and you guys pay for this? And, or so-and-so girl is awesome. Can we at least give her some money for whatever contest she wants to do? We really were making progress, and then as soon as the economy hit, the girls program was the first that was not a priority because their sales at the time was only like 15 and 20% of the whole business, but it went from 0 to 15 and 20% in like 2 years.
So even though I think women's skateboarding is getting a lot closer to a point where they can possibly tap those markets, I know a lot of it got pulled out from under their feet in the last couple of years. But I still think they're really close in the overall scope of things. And as the economy gets a little bit stronger and people are looking for new markets to, you know, to advertise into and you know, get a piece of, I think it's positioned well.
I really was adamant, is that a word? About not being, you know, a girl skateboarder.
You know, this sounds bad, but she didn't skate like a girl, you know?
From what I've been told, you know, that girls, you know, had a bad style of skating. You know, like they had girl style.
One of the major conversations I've been hearing for years in skateboarding circles is that women's style is bad, you know, we're deemed bad, quote unquote.
So girl skaters, just, they don't have that same dynamic as guy skaters. Doesn't mean that they're not great. Doesn't mean that they're not amazing, because I applaud all the things that they do.
And that's not disparaging like girls in general, but there was like sort of a difference at that point. I think that increasingly there's not a difference, you know? You look at Marissa and stuff, and there's all these other girls that are just completely charging.
Girls just look more beautiful than guys. There's a thing where guys just look raw and edgy.
I think the industry isn't as involved in women's skateboarding because there's too much of a gap between the levels between men and women.
I've always wondered why is there a difference in levels of skating for men and women? You know, why aren't we just as good?
Why is there a level gap? I wanted to find out if there was maybe some biological reason for it. So I talked to someone who has firsthand experience in the difference between the ways that men and women skate.
Once I started taking testosterone, it was actually amazing, the differences I noticed in my skating. Hi, my name is David Everly, formerly known as April Woodcock, and I used to compete in professional women's skateboarding. The first contest I did with Amelia was the Tim Broch Memorial Contest. I think it was obvious to a lot of the judges. This kid, I don't know why, but she shouldn't be in the contest, you know? And I felt as if you know, that was unfair, but at the same time, I couldn't blame the judges because I didn't feel I should be in the contest either. I felt as if I should be competing with the guys, you know? So there was kind of a double standard there. Sometimes I'd feel like I'd land all my tricks and do a perfect run, and I'd still get 4th or 5th place. So I do remember that in that contest. And I remember Amelia walking up to me after the contest and saying, "You killed it, I don't know how you got 4th, you know?" And I remember feeling as if I couldn't tell her, well, that's because I'm being judged unfairly because I probably shouldn't be in this contest because I'm actually a guy. How do you tell someone that? My progression rate was quick, and I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I had a higher testosterone level or not. But what I did notice is that I was more aggressive in my skateboarding. I did have more of an aggressive male style, if you could, you know, stereotype that. My style was more of a male style than any of the other women, and I could notice that just by watching a video of me skating with the rest of the women. And it's not to say that girls are less strong, that girls, you know, don't have as much of a drive, but there's obviously a difference, I think, within like the male way of thinking and the woman way of thinking, you know? Whereas women are more cooperative. Like in the skateboarding contest, you'd see that a lot of them would want to skate together or learn tricks together or, you know, do things together. I think men happen to have like an independent sort of drive, like I'm gonna kill this bowl, I'm gonna kill this thing, you know. I'm aggressive, I want to listen to this hard music. And that's not to say that a lot of women don't have that same approach, you know, because a lot of women I know, they're the same, they're gnarly, you know, and they want to listen to hard music and kill it, you know. But I just feel like there's a difference in having that approach and then feeling like you're a guy and then having that approach, you know. Because a lot of girls I knew, like Julie even, she had that approach of, you know, she wanted to kill it, but she was obviously a girl, you know. Whereas I had that approach and I felt completely like a guy, you know. But I do notice now that a lot of times women or young women will come up to me or come up to someone else and ask for help on a trick. And it's something I used to do too. I don't know if it's something just maybe as a kid you do, but when I did start taking testosterone, I started to have this feeling like I don't want to ask for help, you know? And I know it's stupid because we're all skateboarders and we should be able to ask for help, but it was more of an approach like, I don't want to ask for help, I don't want to ask for directions, you know. I just want to go for this thing and get it done, and even if I kill myself, you know.
But for a lot of girls, you know, we have very different mind structures than guys. We like to, women as a whole like to understand a little bit more about what they're doing before they jump into something.
The way women think about approaching a trick and the way a man thinks about approaching a trick are different. A woman might think of it in terms of how do I do this trick and not get hurt? How do I do this trick and get close to it and stick it but not land it because I don't want to get hurt? Whereas a man doesn't think at all. He just goes for it. Just in the couple years it's been since I've been involved in women's skateboarding, the ability level has gone through the roof.
If you really look at the girls, the top girls now, the level they're at compared to what the level the girls were, you know, 10 years ago, it's incredibly different.
The women's skateboarding has outprogressed men's skateboarding to where it was 10 years ago to today by a long shot.
I went to the Pro Tech for the women this year. I realized just how much they've progressed.
The combi bowl. You go really fast, and then when you carve, the tiles go zoom, and you kind of feel like kind of like a ping pong ball maybe, but one that chooses its own destiny.
Can't underestimate the combi, let's put it that way.
That thing's gnarly.
I get scared just kind of walking by.
It's just cool to see girls attack that pool because it's not an easy pool to skate.
Combi will just like slap you in your face and make you die on the bottom, you know? It's crazy.
And it's not even walking by the pool, but it's walking like down the street.
The combi bowl is a replica of the bowl that they had at the old Pipeline skate park in Upland.
People tell me this, yeah, it's more perfect with pool, but it's still a hard pool to ride, and that's what makes the challenge, that's what makes it fun. So skateboarding's not easy.
You know, if you're gonna skate vert or the combi, you have to do it all the time to be on it.
You have to use the whole bowl, so you have to know how to flow in between the different parts of the bowl, how to like use the hips. You have to do like incorporate grinds and airs and like hit the corners. So, you know, whereas a vert ramp is just like 2 flat walls and it's relatively self-explanatory, you just do tricks on each side. But when it comes to a bowl, you have to kind of like maneuver your way around and like do a trick here, like do a trick in this more difficult spot here. So it's just a lot of adapting tricks that you know how to do in other places to different spots within the bowl.
The history of the girls' contest in the combi pool, we used to run it with the guys for many years. Cara Beth went in it a lot back then, and I think Julie Kinstrand maybe some of the top girls.
Vans gave the girls their very own contest, the Girls Combi Pool Classic, and it just allowed a lot more girls and women to participate.
I have never seen that great of a turnout in girls skaters or spectators for a girls pro contest before.
The combi, the women's classic, I mean, God, that thing works really well independent, on its own.
You know, just for the girls. It wasn't like it was paired with another men's event or amateur event, you know, with music or anything. It was just the girls skating, and the turnout was so cool. And
there were about 50 girls there that day, which is more than I'd ever seen at a girls skateboarding event. And the AMs even got to have their own contest, and it was really great to see like the up-and-coming girls just having a blast and skating together.
You know, there were so many girls there that were skating so well. It wasn't like they were just a couple and then everyone else was just, you know, cruising around.
I saw some great skateboarding go down, and it was entertaining. It was a great representation of what, you know, women are doing today.
To watch the evolution of women's skateboarding in that particular venue.
How rad the girls have gotten, how progressive they've become over the years, and just watching skaters like Lizzie and Alicia just bust out how consistent and smooth, and their skating's really progressed over the years.
Just the energy with the jam session, seems like the girls feed off each other's energy. They see people skating good, and it makes everybody skate at a higher level.
I tell you what, almost every girl out there skates better than I do in that thing. That thing is scary, and it's crazy.
And I saw girls skating, and they were skating sort of on their own terms. It wasn't like girls skating good for being girls.
Everyone had like their own little gnarly trick or tricks.
And the girls are taking it apart and getting to the point where it's like easy for them.
And to see girls just feeling really comfortable and actually doing things, you know, some of the boys, you know, have a hard time doing, is just very inspiring.
Now the girls are just killing it and doing things that a lot of the guys, I mean, there's a couple girls that could compete with the guys for sure.
It was really cool to see. I felt felt the momentum really starting at that point, really taking form for girls skating.
Lance, why aren't you skateboarding right now?
I'm not a girl. This is the girls' session.
Well, it's too bad.
I was told by Ozzy I can't skateboard today.
If you want, you can put on my jacket and like use it as a wig and come skate.
Ozzy Osbourne has a blog called Blue Tile Obsession, just after seeing like the camaraderie of the girls at the Combi Classic. He kind of wanted to see what the dynamic would be of a session where it's only girls skateboarding. He organized this session at Lance Mountain's house, which is amazing. The pool's super fun. I had seen it in Extremely Sorry, and so I watched that video like every day in the days leading up to the session. And Lance is wonderful. We even got Brandon Wong to come out and make a video for Ozzy's blog. And Ray Zimmerman came out and took photos for a magazine they're putting together. Everyone was just like feeding off each other's energy. Everyone was cheering each other on. Everyone seemed to have a trick or tricks in mind that they wanted to get a photo shot of. And then all of a sudden, I fell. I felt the pop in my knee. It was over. What am I doing with my life? I've been hurt so many times. Is it really worth it for this stupid piece of wood? Immediately the thought of not being able to skateboard. I wasn't tearing up because of the pain. I was tearing up because of the fact that it's meant to me and my skateboard had to part ways for a while.
This is kind of our, when special guests like yourself come by, usually get a photo of everyone in front of this here for Facebook, just to say, hey, we came and repped.
We could do that.
Yeah.
After I hurt my knee, I had to throw myself into something. I had to distract myself from the fact that I wasn't skateboarding or I was gonna lose my mind. So I was both focusing just on finishing college strong and on just really finding the answers to the questions that I've had.
I think girls skateboarding is a profitable market. If I have to look back at my last couple years of sales, no. Have we stopped doing it? No. You know, I think it's there.
You know, I think it's really close. I think it's like, it's so on the cusp.
I think there's a market, but I think the challenge within skateboarding is just a lot of the girls that ride out there, they do look up to the guys out there.
When it comes to like making a product or a board with your name on it, the same standard. The standard is, will those people be able to sell enough to make sure that it makes their money back plus to do?
If we want to see girls supported with their own boards and their own shoes and pro models, then we need to go out and we need to buy those products.
Would a girl have a harder time selling a board? Yeah, always. Because even a girl will probably buy a boy's board.
Because if the products sell, if Alyssa Steamer puts out a board and that board flies off the shelves, you better believe other companies are gonna go, wow, let's get behind the girls.
And then there's 50 boards at a skate shop and 2 of them have a girl's name on it, you know? And who's gonna win?
The woman skateboarder isn't going into the core stores because it's a guy's club. You know, and when you walk in as a girl and you don't really know about skateboarding and you walk in, they're not gonna treat you with any respect.
It's hard for a guy to say that I'm his favorite skater. They're gonna pick Mike Carroll's board over my board, right? Unless they're really like me or they're a girl.
Shops are struggling right now. They need to find a way to survive.
The bottom line is that girls shop more than guys. If you can think about your investment in marketing on the guy side and the return on that and apply that to girls, it's gonna be like magnified for sure because girls are the ones buying. Girls not only buy stuff for themselves, they buy stuff for their boyfriends, their brothers, their kids.
I mean, we can all see now that there is a market out there for the girls, you know, and if these shops, some of these core shops could start to understand that, I think they would survive longer. I think that their sales would expand and maybe they would start bringing more things. The guy's gonna come in, they're gonna buy what they need. They're gonna buy a sheet of grip and they're gonna buy a board, they're gonna grip it and they're gonna go, you know what I mean? It's the girl's gonna come in, they're gonna shop around, they might buy a shirt, there's gonna be a sticker that matches their board. Girls like to have product that makes sense for them, but also matches. Bones has come out with a whole line of SPF wheels that, you know, they're pink, that are purple, that the girls like, and there's a couple of the girls have even switched wheels, like they're matching the pink and the green wheels, or they'll match the pink and the purple wheels, and one of them will go by one set, one of them will go by the other, and then all of a sudden they're rocking a completely different, you know, mix and match on there.
We believe that there's a market for girls skateboarding. Big time market, giant. Humongous. We want girls to skateboard, and we know that they're out there, and girls just need to get on a skateboard and roll around.
Hoopla is girls' brand of skateboards that Skate One does.
Skate One Corporation is a manufacturer and distributor of skateboard product, and we do 9 different brands, including Pal Peralta, Bones Bearings, Bones Wheels, Mini Logo, Hoopla, Positive, Boat and Dragon, Surf One, and a few others.
We just wanted to create something that could support girls in skating, basically. Like one day our vision would be to have like the budget to pay a bunch of girls to be professional.
We wanted to have a team of girls skating and hopefully get more and more as it goes.
We think there's great value in having the team.
Especially as a girl, if you feel like you're included in something. And I think it's hard, like being a girl on a team, and if you're the only girl, you're just kind of over there.
We have a kid like Hunter Long who lives in Hawaii, who's a great skateboarder. And you have a girl like Alicia. Nora, you know, East Coast, making it happen. Ileana's in Brazil. Evelyn's in Belgium.
So we get Evelyn and get her over here, pay for her travel. We supported her, like being there, being present, going, you can do this, you know, just making her feel strong, you know, that kind of support. She had support with financially getting over here and spending money and product, you know, all that combination really pushed her to do good, and she really did good that year. When you have like a crew of people like pushing you and making you feel good and strong, that's gonna make a big difference in how you perform.
We wouldn't do Hoopla if we didn't believe in the fact that girls need a brand that will support them, that will encourage them so they can continually get better. And find the sport that we all love so much, you know?
Pink Widow is a collective, a collaboration of various female-related skateboarding and apparel companies that we've kind of put together. We really started to develop the Silly Girl Skate Posse in 2007. I just wanted to sell boards to all girls. As we started learning more about specifics and what products sold or whatnot, I kind of started to find niche it and realize that maybe we should just go towards the younger girls right now. You know, we started coming out with different sizes and different shapes of boards and really realized that there was a market for the girls out there being the minor leagues of skateboarding. We brought on a couple team riders and really noticed that there was a niche, and by starting to take these girls out to some of the events, what can we do to bring up some of these girls that either don't have the name, don't have the media coverage, don't have the ability to get to some of these contests. Right now we have 7 riders, we have 6 team riders and 1 flow rider. It's not just give me, give me, give me, there's a give me take kind of situation that goes back and forth on there. And you know, there's a lot more to it than just you know, wearing the shirt, wearing the shoes, showing up to an event. You know, there's out there representing. When I take a group of the girls, like I can just think of off the top of my head going down to Carmel Valley one day, and I brought the girls over to the bowl. 10 minutes later, we were the only ones in the park. And at first I kind of didn't understand why, but then I realized none of those boys could skate the bowl, and they didn't want to be showing up.
We're going on floor. We're going double leg hip thrust. Remember that one?
My name is Ethan Kreisworth. I'm a board-certified athletic trainer. I take care of athletes and their injuries. We do care and prevention of sports medicine issues related to anything involved in sports. Skateboarding with my patients is a blast. I'll go up north, Santa Barbara area, and skate with Abby. Amelia came to me with a potentially torn MCL, first degree plus, maybe second degree MCL sprain. She wants to get better. She wants to get better now. Not tomorrow, now. She's just very stubborn. We could take that one out. Work up to it.
You don't have to.
I knew she was going to say that. I knew she was going to say that because she hates failure.
Yes.
It's not failure. Whatever I can do for Amelia to get her better, I'm doing so, you know, but she wants to be 10 times faster. So she'll basically research every type of, you know, homeopathic remedy that she has, which she has a ton of, that she brings me research every week. Usually MCL sprains, MCL tears take 4 to 6 weeks at least, you know, and you know, we're trying to get her back, and she's just about there now.
The brands are there, the product's there, but there's no media.
Now skateboarding media is really, really far behind what's going on in skateboarding.
Now that women are becoming increasingly interested in skateboarding and becoming a group who's very good, I just don't think the media has caught up with that yet.
If you looked at skateboard magazines, you probably still see very limited girl skateboarding in there.
It's not that anyone wants to like push girls out of this.
So while that magazine may still be kind of turning its blind eye to girl skateboarding because hasn't been deemed cool enough by the cool guys.
let's not pretend like there's something magical going on. Like, it's purely based on your abilities and what you bring to it. It's all up to you. Anybody can do anything they want, but it's what can you make yourself do.
What Transworld Skateboarding is really about is like progression of the sport of skateboarding.
For us, if we're trying to tell the story of street skating as it develops, some of that stuff's important. Yeah, like you can't go back to feeble grind the 7-stair. You know, it's like there's no interest in it, you know?
Whether that's more stairs, more flip in, flip out, whatever it is, really.
I really think that like where the action happens is with those kids in the streets. You know, like we have our own constructs making the magazine, like it's gotta be this many stairs, but like if you look past that, it's these kids like interpreting their environment that they have.
Style on a skateboard through technical progression. Kind of what we're focused on is highlighting the best of what skateboarding has to offer. You don't really see a lot of girls pushing the boundaries of skateboarding because they're just now catching up.
People are psyched when they see girls going for it. I know that that's the case. When I saw Mimi Canoop get into that frontside invert, I'd never seen a girl do a frontside handplant before. I thought that was the sickest, you know, so I took a photo of it and put it in the magazine. Same with like, you know, when people saw Alyssa, you know, crooked grinding ledges and doing tricks like that, people hadn't seen that before and people were hyped. We liked her, we promote her in the magazines.
Really, I don't see any submissions of photos of girl skaters. So maybe they're not going out with our staff photographers. Maybe they're not going out with any photographers.
Even if you're a male skate photographer or filmer, you're not gonna go shoot girls because you can't make money from that.
All skaters are held to a standard. You're not gonna put 1 foot high backside air in the magazine. When Christian Soy went 10 feet in 1988.
It's kind of if you were a band and you were just playing Beatles cover songs. You know, it's like, that's been done. We've seen it.
You know, it's just like, why? Why do it, you know?
You know, they're not against putting the girls in the magazine. They just need the quality content.
So Lisa Whitaker, she's just one of those like silent geniuses that are like 10 times beyond anyone else.
On the first issues of Big Brother, all of them, and...
Can I touch them? I'm serious. Cool. Once I was sort of getting to the point where I could ride my skateboard obsessively again, I had a conversation with the all-knowing mastermind of skateboarding, Lisa Whitaker, about how we can get more exposure for girls in skateboarding. Cool, you're in Thrasher.
She cares so much about skateboarding and about girls skateboarding specifically that she's filmed so many of the girls out there to try and help them reach a wider audience, to let people know how amazing, you know, these girls are killing it out there.
I started a website in 2003 called The Side Project. It was more just an experiment to learn web design. I needed content to put on this site I was just doing for fun. And all the stuff I had on my computer at the time was my friends skating, which happened to be girls. Yeah, it's been going since 2003, but I recently changed the name to Girls Skate Network to better fit what it has grown into. It was never set out to be just like a girls thing or whatever, but it's just that's what happens to be missing and needed right now. If there was coverage of the girls all the time in major, you know, in other avenues, then it wouldn't be needed. Like the major skate media is not going to put in,
This is 3D.
you know, these small like beginner girls. Or, I mean, they don't do that for the guys. There's so many girls that eat that up. See, like, you know, girls of all levels. It's just they feed on it. So that sort of stuff you'll never see in the major skate media.
Yeah.
But there is an audience for it. It may be small and doesn't make sense, but that's what the site's for.
Why do you think it is that we don't see more girl skaters in magazines and just covered by skate media?
Most of the magazines I know have been supportive of the girls. They just need the quality content from the girls. And a lot of magazines also, they have specific staff photographers that are paid, so like they use the photographers, you know, those photographers. So you might have amazing Photoshop from somebody else, but you know they would have to pay that photographer to get that. You know, they just use their staff photographer. The girls need to be shooting with the right photographers and getting, you know, quality stuff.
So you have those three things, like the right guy or girl, the right trick, the right shot. So if one component is off, then you probably won't run it. It wouldn't matter if it was a girl or a guy.
I could have got a cover of Flash a couple years ago, but I had knee pads. I wasn't going to get it.
All the Magics have run, you know, things like Alyssa, Marissa, you know, Alexis have had a couple things, you know, when they shoot with the right people and shooting a trick that's to a certain level. I don't think it's really different for the girls as it is for the guys. I deal with you know, I work with some M's, but they're in the same, you know, trying to get coverage in the magazines. There is no one simple answer. I guess because there are fewer girls that skate, you know, you get recognition a lot earlier than the guys can do. So for the guys to even get to that sponsored AM or that sponsored pro level, most of them have had to have already figured out some of this other stuff just to rise above. Just because there's so many guys skating, they're shooting with the right people, they're filming with the right people or whatever, where a lot of the girls get into that position first, and then those things are needed to continue or to go up the ladder. And a lot of them don't feel comfortable with it or just never figure it out.
I don't know. I mean, I guess for me personally, I don't see myself at that level yet, but I feel like there are a lot of girls that are at that level where they should feel comfortable going out and shooting with these people. I know that's not fair, but I mean, personally, I see myself as...
But you're a pro rider. Why would you not? You are a professional skateboarder, correct? I do believe I saw a board with your name on it. So you're a professional skateboarder, but you do not feel comfortable going to shoot with a staff photographer for one of the brands that you ride for? There's where the problem is right there. It's really nothing that anybody could do for it's the girls have to take it upon themselves. Like the girls have to call the photographers, the girls have to make things happen.
It's easy. You just call up somebody, you know, a photographer, you know. They're all friendly people, you know, and I'm friendly, so we're all friends. So if there was something I saw that I wanted to shoot, I would call whoever, you know, Burnett. You want to go shoot this thing? Yeah, okay, cool.
Being proactive and sending your sponsor updates about what you've been doing. Maybe, you know, contest results. It's maybe photos. It may be video, and not wait for someone to make it happen for them.
After having spoken to editors of the top skateboarding magazines and Alyssa Steamer and Lisa Whitaker, it turned out that the answer was really simple. All you have to do is, if you want something, you just gotta make it happen. So I exchanged some emails with Michael Burnett and set up a time that he could come skate with me and Lizzie. And we skated. He shot some photos. And it was rad.
I think there's more girls skating now, and there's more just everyday girls getting into skating. Back then it was like, the girls that skate were like gnarly, you know? Now it's like 5-year-old little girl will be at the park in a tutu, you know, skating around. And it wasn't like that back then. And back then, if you saw a girl at the skate park, you knew her name, no matter what state you were in, you knew who she was, you know, you knew what tricks she could do. Now it's someone new every day when I go to the skate park. There's a new little girl, there's someone ripping that I've never seen before, and that's just more, you know, proof to me that it's really, really exploded.
And in 2010, 2011, it really kind of marked, you know, girls sticking with skateboarding, and that the places that we went, not only were there girls that were riding, but there were girls that were ripping. Every city had some girl that was just amazing. They just made you think, wow, where did she come from? Where has she been these last few years? And they were dedicated. They were going out there, and it wasn't because of this group or that, this, or their boyfriend. It was because they started, they loved it, and they pursued it, and they were getting really good.
It seems to me that I've seen more girls skateboarding today than ever before.
Yeah, for sure. There's more girls skating than ever before.
A lot more girls have been skating nowadays.
There's a lot more girls that skate now.
There's a lot of skaters, female skaters that have progressed, and they just keep getting better and better.
Now I can't even hang with them. You know, they're all better than me.
Like, they're ripping, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this many girls skated. Like, you know, I mean, there were always girl skaters, like I said, but it was few and far between.
You never go to a skate park anymore without seeing girls.
You know, it's growing, it's huge, it's getting bigger.
It's growing. It's huge. It's huge.
I skated with Cara Beth, who was one of the first girls ever. She skated at Big O Skate Park, where I grew up skating in the late 70s and through the early 80s. So, but she was one person out there, and we'd see a sporadic girl here and there.
It's weird. I think the industry is caught off guard by it, and they're caught off by the rise of how many females are into it. And I think they know what to do with it.
Whether you're a guy or a girl, you still get stoked seeing the girls just killing it.
I think eventually they're gonna have to look at you guys, and they have to say this is a huge part of skateboarding, and there's growing numbers of it. There's a lot of females getting into it, and they want to do this and they want to do that. And you know what? We gotta start marketing products to them.
Thanks you guys for coming to the first women's focus group at Etnies. I'm Karen Lake, and I'm the product manager for women's.
Some companies do see the value in women's skateboarding, and clearly Etnies is one of them.
So you guys think as a whole, then girls in skateboarding is more of a growing segment. Given that feedback, I think it's something that could be an opportunity within our brand.
Also, Osiris is coming out with a Letitia Buffoni shoe, and my shoe sponsor, Vox, is coming out with the girls line.
I think what we're going to do, like moving forward, you know, something we were bringing you in is we want to kind of get, you know, more of a female's perspective on the shoes, so it's not, you know, just a bunch of guys trying to figure out what, you know, you want.
Earlier this year, ESPN announced that they're expanding the X Games to 6 worldwide events. They haven't determined if they're including a women's parkour vert contest, but hopefully they'll see the value in doing so. In more fun news, World Cup Skateboarding announced that they're adding a women's vert and bowl contest in Colorado this year. But the thing that I'm really excited about is 2 months after our session at Moore Park, this issue of Thrasher came out.
basically Nerdsville and like outcast kids, like quasi-heavy metal kids, like ninjas that got too old to play ninja.
So Lisa Whitaker has a really cute dog.
I was born as James Robert Gray. I only learned recently in my 40s that you actually could have been Jim Bob, because James Robert, and thank God I didn't grow up being called Jim Bob, and if they started now I wouldn't care, but.
Beautiful. Jim Gray, your dog's like a foo-foo dog.
The skateboard mania.
Thank you. Yeah, dude, Brian has it down. Martina Navratilova, dude.
It's Janet. It's a beautiful dog. Jim, your dog sucks, buddy.
But I don't necessarily think that if, say, Amelia was to start testosterone therapy, that she would feel more comfortable. And that's what I'm talking about, is there is a level gap because I feel maybe men have, for centuries down the line, been skateboarding or doing rigorous physical activity longer.
I mean, I know how it felt rolling up to it, and I know what it felt like after, and I can like kind of grasp what happened, but like my brain wasn't working, you know? I was like in some survival meditation